Americans are leaving America, and it is not for vacation. It's for survival. A growing wave of Americans are packing up, terrified by Trump's dictatorship, Republican fascism, and Democrats' capitulation. Interracial couples, LGBT plus individuals, people of color, and intelligent people in general are seeing their rights replaced with restrictions. In Ireland, US passport applications hit their highest level in a decade, up 60% in just 2 months. France is seeing long term stay visas for Americans up 20%. Portugal, Spain, UK, relocation companies can barely keep up with demand. Traffic to Blacksit Global, which helps Black Americans relocate, surged 50% after the election. Some are leaving quietly, like a trans couple in Colorado, because Trump wrongly says there are only two genders. States are moving to ban gender care, so they're planning their exit. Google searches for how to leave the US spiked after the election, and real estate deals for Americans in Spain surged before the Golden Visa program was shut down. European culture is different than American culture, and many won't adjust. And of course, Europe has its issues: immigrations, taxes. Putin expected to take Moldova and then Romania with his eyes on the rest of Europe for the new Russian Empire. But a possibility of another European war is a safer bet than staying in a country that is already a fascist dictatorship.
Three Yale professors who decided to flee the United States. All three of them study, teach, specialize for decades in the rise of oppressive regimes throughout world history. One of the women in particular, she studies totalitarianism, and she has for years. And when they were like, why are you leaving the United States? She said, the lesson from 1933 is you get out sooner rather than later. And she was like, when Trump was reelected and a lot of my colleagues started to panic, they were trying to calm themselves down, saying, we have checks and balances, we're fine, checks and balances. And she said, it feels like the Titanic. It feels like we're all saying, like, you know, the ship is unsinkable. And she's like, as a historian, all of my work always tells me there is no such thing as a ship that is unsinkable. Truly, like, we have the fight of our lives over the next, like, 20 or 30 years. People just have to be aware of it. Because it's not good right now. It's not good.
I'm really starting to think that Trump is purposely trying to destroy the U.S. economy and get America to collapse the way the USSR did, so that him and his billionaire buddies can buy everything up for pennies on the dollar and turn us into a full-blown oligarchy the way Russia did after the USSR collapsed. That's the only thing that makes sense in my brain, because everything that he is doing is isolating America from its allies. He is destroying trade on the world stage with us and all of the people we do trade with. I mean, China's putting exports on restrictions on all of their rare earth exports at this point. There's literally nothing that he's done since he took office that is good for the American people or the American economy. Everything that he has done has been for billionaires and has been at the detriment of the U.S. as a country. Like, our entire workforce is being decimated now as he is sending a whole bunch of people out of the country who used to do jobs like construction and farming. So we're going to have a food shortage because there's not enough people picking the food. We're going to have a worse housing problem because there's not enough people building the houses. And it literally seems like everything that he is doing is just designed to destroy this country. And yet the MAGA people are still licking his boots. It's wild.
Family, let's be real. Black and brown people in this country are fed the fuck up. Every day under this Trump administration, we're watching the law get violated in broad daylight, while we're just trying to live, raise our kids, or build something for ourselves. We did not ask for this fight, but this regime keeps putting a target on our backs. And it's not just Trump. He stacked the Supreme Court with a bunch of loyalists. The military is following his orders, and people like Pete Hegseth are just giving commands that aren't even lawful. That's not democracy. That's tyranny. And the whole world sees it because folks are scared. They're packing up. They're leaving America in numbers that we've just never seen before. And if you look at what's happening in our neighborhoods, troops are patrolling the streets like it's a war zone. And when the only thing that we're guilty of is existing while black and brown. So let's be clear. Trump's greed and his obsession with attacking us isn't just dangerous for us. It's dangerous for the whole country. So because if you keep pushing people into a corner, eventually they're going to push back. And when people lose faith in the justice system, when we believe that the courts won't protect us, every state in America, we're slipping into chaos. And that's not a warning, that's a fucking guarantee. Trump can control the soldiers, but he cannot control the spirit of the people. And if the people rise, no army in the world is going to be able to stop them. So this administration needs to understand, you cannot keep sowing division, fear, and hate without consequence. What starts as an attack on black and brown people will end up tearing at the very foundation of this country. And if America falls into an abyss, it won't just swallow us, it's going to swallow everybody. So I'm telling you, stay aware, stay strong, and stay united, because history shows us one thing: every empire that forgets its people eventually collapses.
I'm Jason Whiteley. She really did it. A Fort Worth woman up and left Texas. She moved to the Netherlands, all because Donald Trump is president. Janelyn Sanchez sold off most of her belongings in Fort Worth last fall. Now, though, after several months living outside of Amsterdam, we decided to check back in with her. She says news of her leaving has sparked interest from other Texans considering the same thing. People interested in what it takes to move overseas and which countries are easiest to relocate to. Many questions people are asking. So Sanchez decided to start a business to help other people do what she did.
Wait, Jana, what is the name of this business?
It's called GTFO Tours,
What does that
GTFO
mean?
Relocation Tours. Get the F out.
Wow, your language has gotten cleaner since you've moved over to Europe.
Jana,
I don't think I'm allowed to say what the F stands for, but I think everybody gets it.
Sanchez gets into the nitty-gritty of a commitment like this, how much money it costs, what you have to file, how long it takes. Never mind politics here. This is an interesting episode if you've ever thought about living overseas.
Hello everyone, it's Anthony. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I just popped up to say hi. You really mean a lot to me by watching my videos. Continue subscribing, commenting, liking. And when I say commenting, we are engaging in this dialogue. So let's continue watching this video, and I'll be making my amazing conclusions at the end of this video. So let's continue watching. But most important, don't forget to comment. That's the most important part of this video. So thank you, and you really mean a lot to me. I just wanted to appreciate you.
Do I need to flee the country? But then I'm like, but if I flee the country, where am I going to go? Because fascism is on the rise in Europe too. And then I'm like, my ancestors survived here and they made it work. But then I'm like, but the ancestors wanted better for me and they didn't have a choice but to stay, but I might have resources to leave. And then I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe they will want me to leave. And then I'm like, do I have the money to leave? And I'm like, I certainly don't have the energy to fight. Oh my God, I can't fight nothing. I'm not built for that. But then I'm like, maybe I can just go to Canada because it's right there. And then I'm like, is that too close? That might be too close. And you see the far right rising in France and Germany and Italy. And then you start to really think to yourself, is there really a way to escape the tendrils of American imperialism? And maybe it's actually safer to be here than it is to leave. Because I don't want to be on the receiving end of the nukes, right? But I also don't want to be in the country that's shooting them. And then, of course, you start thinking, but if I do leave, do they like black people? You know what I mean? So I'm really confused.
Let's talk about the Trump supporters that are losing their jobs. Last night I was out in Chicago and these three guys started talking to me and they were all from Naperville. And they asked what I did for work and I said, oh, like I make educational content. And the guy was like, oh, are you one of those like liberals? Like, are you one of those like lefties? And he was so serious. Like he just continued to like mock me and make fun of my content. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna leave this conversation. And he goes, yeah, it's because of you guys that my mom just lost her job. And I was intrigued. I was like, why did your mom lose her job? What did she do for work? And he goes, oh, well, she was in the military. She's a veteran, but then she was working at this office for the last few years and they just let her go. I look him dead in the face. I'm like, do you think your mom was a DEI hire? Because veterans are a protected class. And now that they don't have to hire her anymore, then they let her go. He goes, that's so true. He doesn't believe me. He looks it up and just the color just like drains from his face. And the guy with him was a research assistant after just graduating from university. And his position was just terminated because of lack of federal funding from the federal government, which is thanks to fucking Trump. So newsflash, DEI doesn't just mean black people. So in fact, what's happening on a federal level is going to affect you too. You aren't special just because you're white. Someone's getting them. Okay, bye. Breaking news, over 100,000 federal employees are set to resign from their positions tomorrow. This is set to be the largest mass resignation in U.S. history. There are 4 primary reasons that they cite for wanting to resign from their positions with the government. The first is increased political pressure under the current Trump administration. Second is the fear of retribution. They are terrified that if they speak out, they will lose their position anyway. The third is job security concerns under the Trump administration with a lack of federal funding given to many different positions. And number 4, a general unrest and dissatisfaction with their positions currently. Multiple agency insiders have said that they felt under siege and that there are constant loyalty tests to prove their allegiance to Trump. There have allegedly been internal memos tied to the screening of political ideology and reported threats of mass firings tied to being a leftist. Labor unions representing these workers have warned about increased surveillance, especially when it comes to education, the EPA, and the Justice Department. If these employees do resign, this would be a massive fuck you to the Trump administration. But it would also mean massive delays for the average person when it comes to things like Social Security.
New data show that Americans are heading for the exits to get the hell away from the current administration. The trend of Americans considering emigration under Trump's second term is much more serious than that vague, I'm going to move to Canada sort of thing. You know, we often hear it more from people on the left than on the right. If X person wins, I'm moving to Canada. If George W. Bush gets reelected in 2004, I'm moving to Canada. That was a common one. This is not that. Expat consultants and firms that specialize in dual citizenship are busier than ever. And they are fielding a huge number of calls from Americans who are just looking at, how could I leave the country? Now, this includes skilled professionals, this includes scientists, this includes people who are just looking to do something different elsewhere. If you look at Germany's Max Planck Society, they have seen a huge increase in applications from American researchers. And there are other countries that are saying Trump has generated a new talent pool by virtue of what they are doing with Doge and with federal governments. We're seeing marginalized groups, LGBTQ people, people of color, actively looking for ways to leave the country over concerns about authoritarianism and discrimination and potentially even violence. Ireland reported a 50% increase in Americans applying for Irish passports, and many of those are citing the Trump administration as the motivating factor.
America is about to get really gross, because I can already see that Trump is emboldening people to fulfill their hateful dreams. Being a average, normal looking white guy, it puts me in a room with a lot of white people that feel safe around me. And when they feel safe, they say the craziest shit. So I have a good idea of the type of vitriol that they hold towards groups of people that are not like them. Trump does a great job of normalizing racism. Anything that Trump can label as woke culture is going to be targeted. In his speech today, he targeted DEI, which is just a dog whistle for black people, and then he targeted trans people. When the president of the United States is normalizing these things, other people are going to feel like it's normal to do these things in public. So we are going to see a lot of freaks out there that are going to feel comfortable saying insane things in public. I will not be surprised if people are aggressive towards minorities because Trump is making that okay. He has members of his cabinet talking about, if you see immigrants, call us, let us know, be snitches. Part of the issue is the people he is emboldening is white people, and they have the ability to kind of be violent with no repercussions. And they are so good at playing the victim card, so if somebody decides to clap back at them, they are just going to say that they were targeted. And when the entire police, military, government is all right-wing freaks, there's really no answer. And I would guess the comments on this video will give me a good example of the freaks that I'm talking about, because we are not even on day one. It only gets worse from this point on.
Thank you for watching this video to the end. It's amazing. So let's discuss. You know what's funny about all these clips, all this saga, all these issues that are happening? Instead of the best coming to the United States, the best being interested to relocate to the United States to help build our country, the best are running away. The best are escaping our country. So to the extent that countries like Netherlands are more favorable to people than the United States. How is that even possible? How did we come to this? How did we fall this low? How? Now, the retirees, when people are retiring, and there are videos which I usually make whereby I say that you work for the corporates and you are old enough, the system can't take care of you and you must die. So I saw a clip of this old couple. When they retired, the money they had, they could buy a house. What they did, they rented a cruise. What? These cruise ships. This which goes around the world, you know, you travel a lot. So they rent one for how many years? Was it 55 or what years? A lot of years, you know. So they decided to go on vacation for the rest of their lives because staying in the United States was very expensive. I saw another clip whereby this lady, instead of renting a house near her school, she used to take flights to and fro from her home. The rents in your neighborhood are expensive compared to taking daily flights. The elderly, when they decide to retire, they go to places like Mexico, Thailand, China, where maybe the cost of living is cheap. Why can't people retire in the United States when they have worked here, when they have given it all to this country? Tell me in the comment section, why are people really running away from the United States? Is it Trump policies? Maybe they are fearing the rise of fascism. Because you saw the other day even Trump said that Antifa was a terrorist organization. Antifa. What does Antifa mean? Tell me in the comment section. What does Antifa mean? I'll give you time. What does Antifa mean? Let's wait. Last, anti-fascism. And that's the group that Trump is designating as a terrorist organization. So is it Trump policies or is it the corporate greed that has destroyed the American dream? I would really like to hear your thoughts on the issue. So until the next video, what I usually say, stay focused, stay alert, listen blue, watch blue, talk blue, vote blue, and until the next video, thank you for your attention to this matter.